Alright, so today our objective is simple. We want to determine the different types of phrases. Now, the first one we've already talked about before are prepositional phrases. And again, they must start with a preposition and it ends with an object or a preposition. All the stuff in between, the articles and the modifiers, adjectives, adverbs, are part of it. So you got to have a preposition followed by the object somewhere. The next one is an infinitive phrase. Infinitive phrases always, always, always start with the word to. So it'll be to, and then it'll be followed by some type of verb. So here are some examples. To go, to run, to stay, to walk. These are all infinitives. And now the infinitive would be to walk. The infinitive phrase would be to walk, and then any modifiers, any adjectives, any object that is part of it. For instance, if I said to hit the ball, this entire thing is the infinitive phrase. This is the infinitive. What was it that was to hit? They hit the ball, so this would be the object of the infinitive. And again, the article is given a direction on the ball. But we've got to understand that the whole thing is an infinitive phrase. Our third and final phrase is a participle phrase. This, let me write that correctly, sir. There we go. It's a participle phrase. Now, a participle phrase will always start with a verb, and then it'll end with some kind of object. So again, it will start with a verb. The boy running fast was Fred. Now we know that this is the subject. Now this is tricky because a lot of people would want to make this to be the verb, but it's not. Was is the actual verb. Running and fast, these two are actually describing the boy. So this right here is your participle phrase. Anytime a verb is used in a way that it is describing, so when a verb is used as an adjective, it's a participle phrase. Participle phrase. So no, we've got to be aware of all these different things. So again, we have prepositional phrases. We have infinitive phrases, and we have participle phrases. Those are the three that you need to make sure that you know today. Right now, I want you to just make sure you know those three. Now there are other subcategories of phrases, but those are your three primary phrases. However, I almost, that would have been bad, almost forgot one final phrase. So our final phrase, sorry. We call this a positive. And the positive phrases are phrases that are modifiers again, but they start with nouns. So make sure that we know all these, because it's a lot of things you need to know. You've got to make sure that you know all the different ones. You need to make sure that you know prepositional phrases, infinitive phrases, participle phrases, and appositive phrases. What you're going to do from there is there's more categories within each of these, but those are the primary ones. Remember to make sure that you understand that prepositional phrases start with a preposition, end with an object. Infinitive phrases start with the preposition to, always with to, and is immediately followed by a verb. So anytime you find the prepositional phrase or preposition to in a sentence, just look directly behind it and see if there's a verb. If there's a verb, it's infinitive. If there isn't, it's prepositional. And your next one is participle phrase, and that one always starts with a verb. And usually, a lot of times, it'll have that, it'll end, I should say, with the ing ending. So you're going to be looking for something along those lines. Running, walking, staying. It doesn't always, but it's a big part. But when you're dealing with participles, usually it has the ing. And then our last new one is an appositive phrase. Now, positive phrases always start with nouns. Okay, well here's your sentence. John, the tall boy, was waiting to talk with his sister. There's a lot going on here. I made sure I got a little bit of everything going on with this one. Let's see how we did. You know, we've always started this, and we always will start it with the same thing. 1, read the sentence. Always read the sentence. Enjoy the sentence. Number 2, subject and verb. Number 3, prepositions. Right? And then number 4, get rid of all your articles. When I say your preposition, you have to also find the object of the preposition. Right? And then number 5, I would do adjectives and adverbs. Okay? And then your last bit of that, let me shrink this down. Number 6 of that is going to be, I would really look at the phrases now. Ooh, wow, let me read. Whew, that is not good. Let's try that again. Phrases. So more or less, I'm just going to finish labeling. Okay? So let's do that. So we've read it, and then we find our subject, John. John was. And one of the things you always look at is these commas kind of help us break down things, because they tell you that those are phrases or clauses. So we know that there's either a phrase there or a clause there between them. So was. Then it says to find the prepositions. Okay, well, let's go find prepositions. Well, here's a preposition, to and with. Right? And then it says find articles. Let's just get rid of all the articles. There's an article. We ignore articles. And then it says look and see if there's any adjectives or adverbs. Well, his is describing sister, so there's an adjective. And tall is describing boy. Okay. So those are all done, and I can ignore those in my thing. Now let's go back to the next thing. It says, let's see if we can figure out the phrase as well. Remember I said, we have to find the object. With what? With this, to talk. Well, remember I said if immediately afterwards you see something that is a verb, right? Talk is usually a verb. So what we're dealing with here is to talk. This is our infinitive. Now, I have a preposition right here, so I know that this ends, and we're on to a new phrase. Adjective, sister is the object of the preposition, because with what? With the sister. And I forgot the other verb. Oops. Was waiting. The only thing we're missing here is a participle phrase, right? Because right here, the tall boy, it always starts with a noun. Well, I should have been very careful, because it could be an article, adjective, or noun that starts a participle. An article, an adjective, or a noun that starts a positive. So this right here isn't a positive because it's modifying without using the usual preposition. John. That whole thing is describing John. So for our diagram there, I know it's going to be something like this, right? There's John's right there, and then it's going to come off like this because it's in a positive. I know that. Here's your next sentence. Walking quietly, the boy went to the store to buy candy. So, read it. Now we find my subject verb. who or what's going on. Somebody went, and they went. So who went? The boy went to the store to buy candy. Okay, so now I find my prepositions. I'm going to go ahead and circle my prepositions. To, that's it, right? Now, find it, see if it has an object. To what? Oh, well, to the store. To what? To buy. Ooh. So right away I look after what's buy. Usually it's a verb, so I know that this right here is an infinitive. And I know that to buy what? Candy. That's my object of the infinitive. But this whole thing right here is an infinitive phrase. Alright, and then up here, store is the object. So this is my participle, my prepositional phrase. The is an article. And then I gotta figure out what's going on here. I see a comma, so that tells me that this stands by itself. Okay, walking quietly. That's describing what the boy was doing, right? So it's describing. And once I say it's describing, that tells you that this here is a participle. And then quietly is describing it, so that's an adverb. But this whole thing is a participle phrase. And notice what's it in with? ing. Big hint. So there's a lot going on in that sense. Oh, I forgot article right here. Alright, got everything? Yep, infinitive. Excellent. So the biggest thing I want you to be able to do is to be able to diagram these sentences fully and thoroughly and make sure that you understand them. Alright, on the next slide you're going to see a bunch of examples, a bunch of sentences. Go ahead and take your time and do your best. Work as a partner. It'll be amazing what you can do when you do that. Try labeling this sentence on your own, on a piece of paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer shortly. So go ahead and pause this for a second, do this sentence on a piece of paper, and then come back and check and see if you got it right. Good luck. Hopefully you paused it. Okay. So again, we read it. The driver of the bus told the passenger to sit down. We look for the subject and verb. Well, the subject is the driver, and he did something. He told something, right? Told is an action verb. Who was told? What got told? Passenger. So that's my direct object. There's my article. There's another article. And an article. Again, get rid of the articles. It makes it easy. No other ones. And then I'm going to go ahead and find my prepositions of, is it prep? Of what? Of the bus. That's my object of the prep. So that right there is a prepositional phrase. To could be a prep, but I see that sit is right behind it, so that's an infinitive. Sit down. Down is describing how they're going to sit, so that's a adjective or adverb. So that's the infinitive phrase. And I have them all. So, how did you do? Try the next ones on your own. Okay, so here are your 3 sentences. Go ahead and label every single word. Make sure that you underline and label the type of phrase that it falls under. When you think you have it, go ahead and bring it to me, and I will check it. If you did well, we'll give you your next assignment. Good luck.